number one. Yeah, let me stop you there. So that's the conversion order is one of those substantial underpinnings. So this is what DTCC is up to right now after the experiment. We want to make it possible for parties to receive on qualified public and private blockchains any asset that's in DTCC's inventory. So that's all roughly $90 trillion worth of our assets. We're racing to actually bring that to production. We expect it much sooner than any of you think, so that when you want to engage in transactions like these, you can. You simply pass in a conversion order, move to token form, and then move back again to traditional form.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was a clip that was released by Owenera, who work with DTCC, who are the premier settlement, essentially facilitator or infrastructure provider for equities globally, or securities more broadly globally. They have about 96% coverage. They do something like 4.2 quadrillion a year in terms of volume. And they have, he says, 90 plus trillion under management. They've also reported around about over $100 trillion under management. They are the largest clearinghouse for securities in the world. And they work with all of the largest banks. And what he said there is very much confirmation of what this industry is about to do. They are going to enable those assets to be digitized. And actually, I did a video on this yesterday. And why I bring this up is because people probably didn't see that. I did a video on this yesterday, and I said I'd release a couple of different parts to it. Now, the individual that you saw on stage talking there is George Daniel Doney. Probably not saying that right. I'm dyslexic, guys. Do forgive me. He released a patent on, I think this was November 2024. And it specifically mentions, and I've done some digging further on from this, specific cryptocurrencies that are going to be involved in this, potentially. Bitcoin, Stellar, Ethereum. Let's show you figure 17. And then I'm going to leave it there. Stellar, XRP. There's specific mentions of these DLTs. And they are essentially a key part of financial infrastructure. And when we say that everything is going to move on chain, or when Larry Fink says that, now we're seeing the players actually move to use and utilize it. And despite them, when they're publicly talking, not actually specifically mentioning cryptocurrency, due to the speculative nature of the space, and they don't want any liability that might come on the back end of that, that doesn't mean that they're not working with, and they've all said, public distributed blockchains. The internet is public for the most part. They tried the private route. It didn't work because it couldn't get that global reach, and you introduce the same issues. Same thing is going to be true with DLTs. And I understand people's frustration, but guys, we are literally at an inflection point. And people are kind of annoying in the sense that nobody wants to wait, which I understand. I can be very impatient myself. But would you rather be positioned before this technology is given a green light to actually be used and implemented, and to change the financial landscape, like what DTCC, $100 trillion under management, are saying? They work with every major financial institution. Go and watch yesterday's video. We show the other people that they're working with to enable this. Euroclear, BNY, so on and so forth. I can go on and on and on. Would you rather be in this technology before that inflection point happens and that green light is given and that kind of engulfing of the world, or cannibalization of the world, as Christine Lagarde would say, and she even then goes on to mention Ripple and Stellar, takes place? Or would you rather get in after, when all the sheep are in? I'd rather be in before and suffer the volatility that comes inherently with that. Understanding the bigger picture. Scott Bessent, most people don't know, they just know he's the Treasury Secretary of the United States. He's an unbelievably intelligent and superior man in the realms of investing. And one of the key attributes that he attributes to being a good investor and manager is the ability to have an imagination, which they've sucked out of you from all those years of education and teaching you how to essentially just conform. And if you can imagine tomorrow's world, and you can imagine where a technology may go, like the people that capitalized on the internet, which is what we're doing here today with DLTs, the world is yours, my friend. And that's why this channel exists. So I want to start on that, just to give you that big overview. People are a bit annoyed, whatever. Get over it. You know, look at our accumulation period for the cryptocurrency space has been 2023 onwards. Start of 2023, Bitcoin's perfect bottom onwards. There's been chop, there's been volatility, there's been frustration. But even structurally, technically, the charts look great. And fundamentally, It's just an unbelievable story. Let's cover, a lot to cover as always. Welcome back for another daily market update, guys. Apologies about the rant, but I don't want people to look this gift horse in the mouth. Let's cover what was all over the headlines yesterday, and that is that 80,009 Bitcoin from an OG holding wallet woke up after 14 years of dormancy and transferred out initially. They've now transferred the full 80,000, 40,000 BTC, worth $4.3 billion today. This OG wallet controls about 8 wallets, 2 of them receiving 20,000 BTC at the time, worth 2.18 billion on the 2nd of April 2011, when the price of Bitcoin was 0.78 cents. The other 6 wallets received 60,000 BTC, 202,000 at the time, 6.5 billion today on March the 4th, 2011, when the price of Bitcoin was $3.37. Today, 4 wallets transferred out 40,000 Bitcoin, while 4 more wallets remain dormant. And I think actually another wallet just transferred 10,000, the 6th wallet just transferred, so on and so forth. I think the full amount has actually now been transferred. So currently all 8 wallets woke up after 14 years of dormancy and transferred out 80,000 BTC. And I don't believe that this has essentially gone anywhere. I mean, we'll continue to watch this. A Bitcoin OG wallet holding at least 80,000. Yeah, we've already read this one. I don't believe that they know exactly where this has gone. There's rumors. So it's a lot of money, first of all. $8.6 billion. At one point, I believe this wallet had over 200,000 Bitcoin, which is 45 billion, something like that. I don't believe people know exactly where this has gone, i.e. to an exchange. They just know the wallet address. And I don't think people know what's going to happen. There's been some rumors that, of course, this is Roger Ver, who today is facing 106 years in prison for, I don't really know the full story, but I think he would say for incorrectly filing something that he needed to. I don't know the full story. I know he's facing those charges in America. He's actually, I think he gave up his American citizenship, but they've brought him back due to what they're accusing him of. But some people believe that Roger Ver, who I believe is a legend, somebody I personally have a lot of respect for, go and get his book, Hijacking Bitcoin. You'll read that book and you'll go, yeah, these maxis really don't know what they're on about in terms of what they're preaching isn't the reality. Most of them don't even believe in Satoshi's vision. He did. He's an OG, and not just in regards to Bitcoin, but also the likes of Ripple. Jed McCaleb personally approached him and sort of sold him the idea. He's a very early investor in that. So reports that the whale moving 80,000 Bitcoin worth 8.8 billion today after 5 years is Roger Ver. Absolutely wild. I'm not entirely convinced. I think with the case that he's got going on, I don't know if he would do that. I believe, I'm not sure. There has been rumors that it was also 80,000 BTC, BCH, sorry, Bitcoin Cash, because, and people are very new to the space, but Bitcoin Cash was a fork of Bitcoin, obviously. It occurred over the small and large block sort of sizes. I'm on Roger Ver's side here, and I think actually people call Bitcoin Cash a scam. Bitcoin Cash is a closer, perhaps, representation to Satoshi's vision. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to annoy people than Bitcoin, because you can actually practically use it as a cash, and that's what it's designed for, not a store of value, which Bitcoin and the whole sort of premise of hijacking Bitcoin was that it was hijacked to become that store of value and enrich more of an insider. We don't want to start that, but I believe Bitcoin Cash was moved also. I'm not sure Roger Ver would do this at the time that, you know, with what he's essentially facing, which is 109 years in prison for not paying the incorrect amount of taxes. I don't know. It's obviously a legal case ongoing, so I don't really want to comment on anything. But Roger Ver's a huge libertarian. He said if the world's using Bitcoin, governments won't be able to fund wars through inflation like they have today. He's a massive libertarian, somebody that I have a lot of respect for. We don't agree on everything, but I think he's generally a good guy, and he's certainly been a great guy for the crypto space. He's more for this space than most people, so to see him get the kind of flack that he's getting on Twitter based on rumors, nobody's confirmed this, is interesting. But this is significant because or 8.6, 8.8, whatever it is, $billion hitting the market would cause Bitcoin to sell off. They've got a whole load of problems in regards to how do they even feasibly sell that Bitcoin. You know, this is from Coinbase Connor Grogan. He believes the $8 billion Bitcoin whale wallet was essentially compromised, so hacked. If that's confirmed, it's the largest Bitcoin heist in history. So we don't know the full story here, what's behind it, but people are certainly on high alert because this would cause, and I think Bitcoin sort of suffered yesterday on the back end of this, Bitcoin's price to sell off. For me, regardless of this news, we're just covering it because it's relevant and everyone's kind of running around like a headless chicken on the back end of it. We're super bullish on Bitcoin and we are expecting continuation technically, fundamentally. You know, there's an amazing story for Bitcoin. Our play on Bitcoin really is Bitcoin miners. And I have an entirely green portfolio. Something like Coinbase, nearly 400% up for us. We think it's going above and beyond that. Do become a Patreon, guys. You need to be in a community of people that are working towards the same endeavors. Certainly in times like we are in today, certainly with a big, beautiful bill, and there was some pushback on what I said yesterday about it leading to more inflation. I think nobody would argue that. The idea is that you outgrow the debt. I get that. I totally get, you know, at least what's being said in regards to what they're trying to do. But we're not worried about this at all. We just want to report on it. It's interesting. This I don't know how they'd even sell this. If it was hacked, it's going to be very hard to sort of wash and get rid of. A lot of unanswered questions, but I think there's a kind of ominous feeling about it because nobody knows quite what's happening despite people trying to perhaps put their opinion forwards. I don't think Roger Ver's obviously not confirmed this himself. What we know is because we've got on-chain data for it, and that's the beauty, the transparency of the crypto space. It's also going to be a downfall of it, I believe, in terms of you really don't have privacy, certainly when they start to attach digital identities to all of this. But I think people are just worried because we know a huge amount of Bitcoin worth a lot of money has been moved for the first time, and it's leading to all sorts of questions and speculation. Are we going to get an Ethereum short squeeze? Now, Ethereum, I'm not bullish on Ethereum personally. We all owe Ethereum a lot, hell of a lot. Total pioneer in the crypto industry, and Vitalik is a genius. I love the boomkin that he's got going on in his profile picture as an ex-World of Warcraft player. I think most of us in the cryptocurrency space, at least the initial lot of us, were into WoW at some point. There seems to be a real thread there. And I think Vitalik's an extremely smart person. One of our reporters was actually at a conference, and you know, we've spoken to, or at least seen live, both family members of his. Are we going to see an Ethereum short squeeze though? Potentially. This is the speculators have built one of the largest short Ethereum futures positions in history. Now that's dangerous. And even though I'm far more bullish on some of the other cryptocurrencies because I think they're better Ethereums essentially, that's just my own opinion. I think here we're showing how volatile crypto bull markets are. That might have been for Patreons. I do think Ethereum will eventually recover, and this could just be one big symmetrical sort of triangle pattern that leads to continuation. And that might be accelerated by the likes of shorting Ethereum. I don't know why you would short crypto right now. Certainly with the macro markets looking the way that they do, they look great. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been kind of a ranty one. We want to start off on that kind of DTCC news, as they are literally the premier security settlement infrastructure provider for all of the largest banks in the world. And they're saying, we're going to allow all these assets to go on chain. And we're there now. This is happening. This is real. Go and watch yesterday's video. I'll do a follow-up video from that, where I'll point out a number of cryptocurrencies that have links to DTCC before that security, which they bought to facilitate their digital art. In fact, there's one cryptocurrency that essentially enabled all of that. Also connected through Oanera, so on and so forth. They can't come out and say this stuff blatantly in regards to specifically what public distributed ledgers they're using, but you can spot the clues in the footprints in the sand, like what we do with that patent. You know, they're mentioning specific cryptos there that they're going to use and utilize. Anyway, a lot going on. I have no idea really about the $8.6 billion worth of Bitcoin, where that's come from. Maybe it's Roger Ver, maybe it's not, maybe it's a hack. We'll see that all unfold. It is a bit of an ominous sign. But for me, if it was legit, it would be more ominous than if it was something else, even though it's horrific that that's happened to be the largest heist in history. Because certainly from a sell pressure study, how do they then act on selling that out. It's a hard task, you know. You get to a certain size, and I've traded behind people that have been on a certain size. We don't talk about trading here because I don't think retail should do it. Stay away. Invest. Enjoy your life. Okay? Don't trade because most people don't have enough money to even make a living off of it. I've traded behind people that have serious size, and often in illiquid markets like crypto, it's very hard to even act on many things. Certainly, and when I say serious size, we're not talking about 8 billion, we're talking about millions. And that's serious size for me anyway. You know, it's very hard to act on. And are we going to see an Ethereum short squeeze? Just quickly, when it comes to the crypto space, guys, I just want to reiterate this. Technically, there's every reason to be bullish on Bitcoin, the total cryptocurrency market cap. You know, this falling wedge is still to plan. I believe it will. We're just waiting for news, I believe. And I think fundamentally, you know, we've not even spoken about all the things that are coming legislatively. Ladies and gents, that's it from me. Enjoy your Saturdays. There may be a daily tomorrow. I'm going to be sort of here, there, and everywhere next week. But I'll try and keep you updated as and when I can. That's it from me, guys. Love you all. See you soon.